So we are so thankful and grateful that for IWBC, you were a mentor for our first ever mentorship program. And I was wondering, kind of in the spirit of that, if you could talk about any mentors you've had throughout your career, or specifically maybe women who have inspired you, or people, musicians that have really made an impact on your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've had a great mixture of both men and women who have really inspired me. I early on, when I was given I 10 years old, and my Mr. Muscle, my band director, gave me a trumpet. My older brother played trumpet, and I remember wanting to play the saxophone. I remember that distinctly, and then the saxophones were all gone, and so then he gave me a trumpet. And so I don't regret it any that I got the trumpet. So it's great. I love it. But I grew up in Cedar Falls, Iowa, and the great Barbara Butler grew up in Cedar Falls, Iowa as well. And so people would see me with the trumpet and they would mention her. And I didn't like at first, I'm like, I'm young. I'm not really thinking about who's this Barbara Butler? But after a while, I'm like, it's Barbara Butler. And I'm finding out about Barbara Butler. And just how, even then, how impactful she was to the musical and the trumpet community, and how incredible she was. And I finally got to hear her play late in my high school days. And she and her husband, Charlie, came and performed as a duo with the Waterloo Cedar Falls Symphony. And then I was like, I see what what people are talking about, because as you know, they're amazing. And so she was early on. And what was so cool was that I got to see a woman play the trumpet, and do it as well to this day. It was awesome. And then she and her husband together, and how lovely of a team they are as musicians and as just partners in life. That early on made the impact for me. And I remember then going and seeing the St. Louis Symphony with my mother. She says, so Cedar Falls is not exactly a big hubbub, so in those days, you're kind of traveling to Des Moines, Iowa, or Minneapolis, or St. Louis, or Chicago to go and see big things. That the St. Louis Symphony was coming to Ames, Iowa, which is about maybe an hour and a half from where I grew up. And my mom said, I think we should go, and so that's when I first heard Susan Slaughter play live. And in fact, I think that was maybe a St. Patrick's Day concert too, because I think they played Danny Boy at the end of it. Like, they're all in a puddle. It was so amazing. It sounded so beautiful. But that was like the first time I saw Susan play live. And so I knew about her, but then just to hear her live was really impactful for me. So, those were two women, particularly in the trumpet field, that really I knew about early on, that I thought, well, these women did this. So I think maybe I have a chance here to, do it too. And so then really from there, all of the male influences in my life have been incredible. All of my teachers, and I had all male teachers, each one of them absolutely supportive and fantastic to me, and helping me to realize some of my goals too. My first teacher, Al Naylor, he was my band director at the time in sixth grade, and then a gentleman named Jim Vox, and then Bruce Chittister, who taught the University of Northern Iowa. And then when I was a sophomore in high school, I started studying with Keith Johnson, the great Keith Johnson, who was one of the great, trumpet pedagogues ever. And then I studied with Randy Grabowski, who's still at the University of Northern Iowa. And then that's when I went to Indiana and studied with Charlie Gorham, and then Ed Cord. And each one of these teachers made a great impact on me. I also mentioned Ray Kramer earlier, and I played in his wind ensemble the whole time I was at Indiana. And he's another one who made a great impact on me, not only musically, but also just as a human being, and how to be successful in all ways. And so once I kind of started getting involved with the IWBC, then I really, started meeting all of these other women, getting to know these other women who just have made an incredible, of course, impact in the music field, and have really fought for women, and women feeling like they have an equal footing in the field. And then just finding out that, women have been playing the brass instruments all along, but as I've said, and other people will say, history is written by the loudest voices, right? And so we have hopefully come forward to become louder voices, to show the impact that women have had all along in the field and their contributions, and to make that a part of the history that will hopefully continue to be learned about and taught by future generations, and not only young girls, but young boys. Young boys have to see women doing this stuff too. They have to see women being successful. So their perception is that they don't see women in less of a way, but as an equal. And so I've been really surrounded by people outside of my family who've really made a great impact, and really helped me to get to where I've been. And my family, who are amazing, my parents, who were amazing, who just never made me feel like I couldn't do what I wanted to do. They never said, you shouldn't do that. Maybe my mother was a little bit concerned because, a performing career can be difficult to achieve for anyone. And so, but they never said, oh, you can't do that. And we're there. So I just felt like I had so many people in my corner, really supporting me. And so I've just been very lucky to, just encountered and be around the people that really have helped me to get to where I am. So I hope that I can give some of that back as I continue on in the profession. As I know how much that meant to me, and I'm sure both of you have those feelings about a lot of people too in your life.